What up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Hopsgeeknews, your home for comic books, movies, TV shows, and this week specifically, we are back talking about Supernatural, man. Season 11, episodes 8 through 16. It has been a very hot minute. So hot since we have talked Supernatural. I mean, not too crazy now. We did talk Supernatural not long ago, but the 20th anniversary is this September. We never finished going through our recap and our journey of when I finished the show. We've done some panels at Comic-Cons. We have promised the masses that we do talk Supernatural, and it has been a very, very hot minute. So we are going to be doing that today. As always, like, subscribe, share, follow at hopsgeeknews, and then go ahead, patreon.com/hopsgeeknews for ad-free episodes, early episodes, all that good stuff. Join the Discord, everything like that. Now, my beer for this fine episode is Lawson's Little Sip of Sunshine. That's what I'm drinking right now. Yeah, you know, I feel like
that because Castiel's a little sip of sunshine.
Well, you know that, and we're back, man. We're back with the Supernatural, and I feel like it's a bright moment in our lives. All that good stuff. I don't really have another reason. I just felt like this was kind of a fun. I feel like Dean would like this for some reason, and also the sun on it kind of looks like the Supernatural thing. So.
Oh. Yeah, I could say it also looks like the Rapunzel sun. But there is an episode where Dean calls Castiel Sunshine.
Yeah, there you go. You know, we're reaching now. Yes, that's what I have. So
well, there's
what
also an episode where Dean compliments somebody's craft beer.
Okay.
Like, oh, this is good. At Asa Fox's funeral. So I have a soup juice. I have more soup juices in my fridge, so I had to get this. So I contemplated trying to think of something else. If anybody's not familiar with soup juice, it is the beer from Jensen's Brewery Family Business, because you're in the family business of killing stuff. And soup juice was obviously a nod to his Soldier Boy character, because, you know, it's not, instead of compound V, it's soup juice. But in this episode, we get to see a very satisfying death, or one of the episodes we're going to talk about, of a Nazi.
Oh, yeah.
You know who else killed Nazis? Soldier Boy. Because he had that
Brad
soup
Pitt
juice.
in Inglourious Bastards.
Yeah, but
he
who killed Hitler?
Nazi scalps. Who killed Hitler? They did in Inglourious Bastards. I forget the name, but they were shooting the machine guns in the theater.
But they only think they did. The person who really did is Dean Winchester.
Oh, okay, fine. All right.
So I'm drinking soup juice out of my awesome soup juice class. Shout out to Tabby.
Shouts, man! Tabby can make anything. She truly.
She didn't make this. She bought it from the brewery.
All right.
But she can make anything. Bunny Tails Designs. If you want any awesome, super geeky, amazing bags.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So, Lauren, why don't you go ahead and bake us away toys with the first. What's the first episode? We're on episode 8. So, give us the rundown, the recaps, the fun facts. Let's kick it off and look off the rust a little bit.
We are on season 11. It has been a minute. The last episode we did was Plush. That was, you know, Donna was back. We got to see all these costumes come to life, get possessed by that ghost. And now we are on one of my favorites, number 8, Just My Imagination. Sully shows up with candy nachos. He was Sam's imaginary friend and can only be seen if he wants you to. Turns out one of his past kids is hunting imaginary friends, aka Zana's. We have a dead manicorn and a dead mermaid. The previous kid, now adult, lost her twin sister and blamed Sully. It had a happy ending, though, and we learned that manicorn's blood is covered in glitter. Even in death, he still sparkles. In the end, Sully also thanks Dean for taking care of Sam, and he tells Sam how proud he is. They both really needed to hear those things. And Sully, right. You're amazing. I loved this episode in more ways than one.
Sam's imaginary friend. Yeah, it was cute because Sam had to cope, you know, as he was going through everything. And I thought the whole like glitter, and there was a very tender moment because imaginary friend, every kid kind of has one. Harper, my daughter, apparently Harper does. I forget the name of it, but she randomly talks about her imaginary friend, which is kind of creepy because typically in horror movies,
it's a ghost.
About imaginary friends, they're ghosts and they're looking to.
I don't think I know anybody who's actually had one.
Yes. So, but this is his way of kind of coping with his childhood, right? I mean, Sam had a very crappy childhood. Dean was always there, but Sam was the baby. He never fully lived that lifestyle. He was just kind of along for the ride.
Well, because they were trying to keep him as innocent as long as possible. Yeah.
And that's kind of this innocence to it. And so at the end, when Sully's thanking Dean for taking care of Sam, and that all of that's kind of him reconciling, I feel like, with everybody involved. And it is
Well, and he's telling like Dean, like, Dean needed an imaginary friend and never got one because he never got to be
he
a
never
kid.
got childhood.
And so it was like, yeah, thank you for taking Sam. And like, I feel like, nobody ever says that to Dean other than Sam. And so that was really
That's
nice.
true, actually. That's a really good point. I didn't even think about that.
Dad just yelled at him for not doing a good enough job taking care of him, even though it wasn't his responsibility.
Yeah, that is true. I never really put that together because it's a thankless job. Dean basically raised Sam, not for nothing, but there were so many good flashbacks throughout the series of those two in the hotel rooms and all the other stuff. So fun facts, this is actually directed by Richard Speight Jr., who is Gabriel, which I thought's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is fun.
He's pretty involved on the, their circuit of Supernatural. He plays music. There's that podcast that I found, DWN Pod, who they're going through Supernatural. I don't know if they're friends with them or what, but they've got a lot of pictures.
I think they've gotten him on the podcast before.
I think they have. That's what it is. And so there's a lot of pictures of them and Gabriel, which I think is pretty cool. And it's
with
awesome
them because they drink and talk Supernatural.
Right up our alley. I have asked, I don't know where they're at in their watch, but we'll have to go back to them. But the title of this episode actually comes from the 1971 song of the same name by the Temptations and the Cranberries. Oh, Cranberries, good band. And in a flashback, Sam tells Sully, anytime I hear the word Sully, by the way, I just think Jake Sully, which I hate that movie.
Oh, I thought you were going to say yes. Sullivan from
no Monsters
Inc.
No, I think Jake Sully, which James I hate that movie.
Sullivan.
I don't know why, but he once tried to fly and broke his arm. In an earlier season, Sam and Dean discuss a childhood memory when Sam jumped off the garden shed dressed as Batman, thinking he can fly, and Dean had to take him to the hospital on his bike after he broke his arm. And the mom was the realtor who died in the shower in Bugs season 1. They thought you wouldn't notice. However, you did. And
she got sparkle all over her. He's like, just take a shower.
Yeah.
Get the whole family.
Lady Glitter Sparkles.
Family shower. That was funny. I loved like they had like the Drop Dead Fred reference. This is Snot.
Yeah.
Hello, Snot Face. You got Mork from Ork. You get a Mindy and Mork reference. A lot of fun references in this.
This is again one of those, it's a lighter episode. Obviously, there's always those, you have the serious plot moving episodes, and then you have these where they take that step back. But this still was heavy. Again, it was Dean and Sam reconciling with their upbringings and kind of coming to terms and forgiving themselves and really forgiving Dean for everything because Dean was there taken care of. So
yeah, and we forgot they were both children.
He was just a kid. Now moving into Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? First of all, love that movie to pieces. But that's the title of episode 9, where we kick off with someone preaching about God near a fountain. Amara is trying to get his attention, murders everybody. Meanwhile, Sam keeps seeing Lucifer in the cage. Despite all my rage, I'm still just Lucifer in the cage, or whatever they said, right? He thinks it's God talking to him, especially after he sets a bush on fire. Whereas Dean is now full on struggling with his feelings for Amara. Oh yeah. Emily Swallow's looking all cute and shit. And he's like, hey girl. And he tells Crowley that Amara is God's sister and arranges with Crowley to meet with Lucifer in the cage. Terrible idea. With Rowena's reluctant help, it happens. After Dean kisses Amara, all of the angels come to smite her. However, it is unsuccessful. We then end the episode with Sam inside the cage with Lucifer, which, guys, you had to have known. Why would you even tempt? I know they're just trying to get rid of Amara at this point, and so they go to the one person they kind of need to, but come on. And this is not for nothing the start of when unhinged Lucifer kind of comes back, because when we first get with Lucifer in the beginning, he's more obviously serious and everything, right? But this is where Lucifer starts to become like the unhinged, goofy Lucifer that we get for the remainder of the series.
I mean, we get pop culture references immediately, which I think is great. But yeah, I feel like now he's gotten more of a taste of people. And now he comes out. And so in listening to Richard Speight Jr. and I was going to say Chuck Norris and Rob Benedict's
That's
podcast,
true. Chuck Norris actually fought Lucifer, the real Lucifer.
Yeah, right. Did you hear about when Chuck Norris got bit by a poisonous snake?
The snake died, right?
Fortunately, after weeks in recovery, the snake survived.
Dang.
So he does get a little more goofy and a little more comfortable. And I think he starts to have a little more fun. I mean, come on, the guy's been caged up for how long? He's probably just gone insane.
Honestly,
so in the podcast, Mark Pellegrino was coaching, because we're about to get to the part where, he becomes Cassifer. And he, so Castiel or Misha Collins asked any tips on how to play you, because essentially that's what he's doing. He's playing the character, he created. And he said, well, I would look at people and think, do I want to kill them or F them? Have some, sleep with them. And that's how I would look at them. Like he was trying to figure that out. So some fun facts for this one. The title, like you said, is from the 2000 movie starring George Clooney, John Turturro, and Tim Blake.
Yes. I forgot Tim Blake Nelson was in that movie. I see his face, but legitimately, I forgot that he's in that movie.
Did you just think of Mr. Blue?
Yeah.
So
good.
That movie takes place in the Deep South during the 1930s, and there are three escaped convicts searching for hidden treasure while a relentless lawman pursues them. So Emily Swallow, who plays Amara, regularly gets asked what it's like to kiss Jensen. That's going to be annoying.
Oh, that's like her number one question. Interesting.
I don't know if it's her number one, but she says she gets asked it a lot.
All the time. What's your number one question?
I know. She's probably talking about the Mandalorian, and that's what somebody asks.
What's it like to kiss Jensen? Oh my God. I mean, can you blame them?
She's kissing him surrounded by cameras and stuff, though. Like, come on. Like, even if it's like
not for nothing, they're both married to other people, so it's just work. It is just work. Granted, you're kissing somebody who's not your spouse, so it's always a little weird. Maybe. I don't know what you're doing.
I don't know. I've never kissed anyone in front of a camera like that. I've never been paid to kiss someone in front of a camera.
I was trying to think.
It's just sounding bad and worse and worse.
Yeah, I was like, wait a second. I do this. You guys are getting paid for this? My God, I could have funded our podcast a long time ago.
All right. So number 10. Let's get to Cassifer.
Oh, yes. Take us into Cassifer.
So we kick off this episode with Rowena's very festive nightmare with reindeer antlers stuck to her head and Crowley in a onesie who opens up a sand Funko Pop.
Oh.
Which is amazing that this is like, they're like a literal Funko Pop from the show made it into the show.
I love that.
So enter Lucifer as Santa and he stabs Crowley.
Enter night.
Exit. Okay, so this was Lucifer coming to Rowena in a dream, who is presently locked up by Crowley. We then see Dean suffering from smiting sickness and cast to the rescue as he opens his eyes and tells him to stick out his tongue and checks on him. However, the smiting did not work and Amara is still around. Dean then learns Sammy is in hell with Lucifer, who continues to take him down memory lane in an attempt to let him possess him or take him to the prom. Amara then sends Cass to Crowley and Dean with a I am coming. So she puts I am coming on Cass's tummy and then sends Cass to the rest of them. And there's actually an outtake where Misha Collins has the I am coming on his tummy. And he's like, Ruth is laughing. I don't know why Ruth is laughing. Ruth is Rowena. And it's because his tummy said, I am coming.
That's unhinged.
Yeah. So the outtakes are just as good as the show. So next thing we know, we have a literal cage match with Dean, Sam, Cass, and Lucifer. We think Rowena saved them in the nick of time, but then we learn Cass actually said yes to him allowing Lucifer to wear him to the prom. Anything to defeat the darkness. I think because Cass just feels responsible because he was so adamant of getting the mark off of Dean, which is what released the darkness. Yeah. And she's been chaos. So I think he's just desperate and trying to take one for the team. While Rowena believes she's about to reap the rewards of hell by serving Lucifer, Lucifer instead snaps her neck since she's the only one who can re-cage him.
All right. Interesting. I get down with that. I don't, again, you guys are dumb. You're dumb. Anything. They don't think. Okay. They just don't think. They just do.
I mean, it all works out kind of in the end.
I mean, I get it. I guess,
you don't release Lucifer. You don't get Jack. That's funny. You don't get Jack.
You don't get Jack, kid. Yeah. Okay. I get it. That's fair. All right. You're right. Okay. Fine. I don't have any other little thoughts. I just think that they are so desperate in Cass. Cass is so well-intentioned, but he just doesn't think things through either, which you think he would more, I guess. I don't know.
I know. He still has an innocence to him.
He really does. But you're right. We don't get Jack, who I don't like when we first get Jack. And I know I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but Jack really does grow on you a bit, man. He does. Once they let him do all sorts of stuff.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
A fun fact. So Sam asks Lucifer what he'll do after he defeats the darkness if they let him out, and he replies,
"The darkness.
Move to LA, solve crimes," end quote. So this actually aired right before the show Lucifer came out, when he lived in LA and solved crimes, which is very loosely based on the DC comics. Ryan Curtis, a previous guest of ours, who's a comic book creator and has worked on Supernatural, he actually said that he was working on Lucifer when that episode came out, and he showed the clip to the Lucifer actor, which I think is awesome.
Okay.
And this is actually, I don't know if it's the first time, but I remember watching this, and you see when Dean goes to call Crowley that he has Crowley on speed dial and his number is 666, which is
party with the devil. It is. Now, going into episode 11, Into the Mystic, we meet Eileen. Come on, Eileen.
You got to clap and shake your hands.
Come on, Eileen.
Sign language. Okay.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it took me a minute. Yes. Dang, that's sad. We all know what happens. But anyways, okay. Jumping ahead still.
She comes back. In my head, she's married to Sam.
In my head, too. We start in Ireland, because we can talk about spoilers to each other now, where we see a happy couple and a baby until a banshee scream kills the parents and leaves the baby deaf. Now, in present day, that grown baby is fighting a banshee at a retirement facility, which I would love that spinoff show, first and foremost. Give me that. However, she is undercover, and she thinks Sam and Dean are the monsters. Once the miscommunication is figured out, they work together, assuming it's the mom from E.T. who will be the next victim. I had no idea that was the mom from E.T. They camp out at her place, and they are assuming she's the most vulnerable due to her health. However, the banshee actually comes for Dean due his vulnerability towards Amara. Plot twist. Dean is saved, and the mom from E.T. and Eileen enjoy watching Sam and Dean walk away.
They watching them asses.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
They need to go watch season 3 of The Boys. I think it's episode 4.
I do, but I love Eileen, man. She's awesome.
Everyone loves Eileen. And I love how much Dean loves Sam and Eileen. So
they are perfect together. Out of anybody you ever see with Sam in this show, they are so perfect together. And she fits right in with the group.
Yes.
She really does.
Yeah, 100%. She's fantastic. I absolutely love the actress she worked on in the show Echo. She's a phenomenal actress. She seems like she's a great person. She really did.
She worked on Echo.
Yeah, remember she did behind the scenes stuff.
No, I don't remember clearly.
Well, if you go back and listen to our Echo episode, we have that in our fun facts. But so, spoilers to the finale. We're not trying to not spoil anything at this point.
Right.
I would spoil crap for Matt all the time and he would just forget. Kind of like how she worked on Echo. So in the finale, when we see Sam waving at a blurry wife, in my head, that is her.
That's got to be her. In my head,
I know that there was COVID things. I don't know if she was going to be there or not. I have no idea. But all they literally could have done was had Sam sign to his son, dinner's ready or something. And mom's over there. That's all they needed to do. And we would have known.
Yeah, and they could have done so many things. And I hate. We could have figured I feel as though we could have figured something out COVID wise to make something work better than what we got. You could have nodded to it,
Jeremy Adams, even his
could have legitimately. Yeah, actually his idea was really good, and I also feel like you could have recorded her voice to play off screen. We all would have known it was her. She has a very distinct voice. So if you give it nod, or they could have filmed her separately from everybody else. I know it's COVID time.
Just had him sign.
She could have filmed something from her house, calling to Sam and the boys or something, right? She could have been outside. She could have filmed herself doing it or something, or 6 feet regulations. And then they could have cut to Sam and somebody, and then boom, perfect. Right there. There is your connection without them actually having to be together.
Yeah, I wonder if they had known how bad COVID was going to be and how long the protocols were going to last and whatnot, if they would have tried to quickly film certain things before. Because I believe the last episode they filmed was Despair, the one where Castiel confesses his love for Dean. I think that was the last episode they actually filmed before COVID. So those last 2 are the ones that they filmed after. So I do wonder if they had known, if they would have been like, hey, let's quickly get this shot, or quickly let's call Jeffrey Dean Morgan and get him up here, or let's call Bobby. And well, I mean, we got Bobby, but I wonder how many people they would have tried to pull in last minute. Because I mean, yeah, I felt like Jeffrey Dean Morgan and Mary Winchester, Samantha Smith, I feel like they should have been there. Like,
yeah, they legit
if
though.
you're in heaven, yeah.
The fact that they didn't even have Jack or Cass or any of that, I feel.
Well, they had Jack in the second to last. Was he in the
Yeah,
finale?
but Jack was God, and then Cass shows up that Cass is there. They could have easily had
me that Cass wasn't there.
They could have had Cass 6 feet away from frickin' Bobby at the bar.
But see, that wasn't the issue. The 6 feet thing wasn't the issue. You had to quarantine for 2 weeks in a hotel, then get COVID tested. So they couldn't afford to pay for everybody to stay in a hotel for 2 weeks, or expect them to.
I'm sorry. I would have lived in my car. I guess
Cass should have been there.
I don't know. I feel as though, I'm sorry, I would have paid. I don't know. It's easy for me to say.
It just stinks that, a 15-year show ended like that because of COVID. But Castiel 100% should have been there. He got mentions, obviously, in the last
one person that should have been there. It was Cass, without 100%. A doubt. You can't just be like, Cass is rebuilding heaven.
And then he was supposed to come back in the Winchesters, and it conflicted with Gotham Knights, so he didn't.
When we all know that show turned out expert.
In my heart, they will come back, and
listen, they'll do it. They'll figure out a way. It'll be fine. We'll move on.
Kansas will be dead by then.
When Dee Wallace, who's the older woman, says, "I'm not gonna bite," never really was my thing. It's a nod to her roles in Cujo, fantastic Stephen King film, where a woman and her child are trapped in a car by a rabid Saint Bernard. Again, it sounds worse on paper, but it's a freaking thrilling movie.
And then with his follow-up, his book of shorts that he recently released, one of the stories is actually the dad from Cujo.
I kind of feel like in October we need to do some Stephen King stuff. I really do at this point, because you've been diving into Stephen King and like his novels, and Stephen King keeps reappearing, that I really feel like we got to get some Stephen King going.
The Long Walk is coming out in September. I have the book right over there. I'm going to read that right before the movie comes out.
There we go. I didn't realize, obviously, that she was the mom from E.T. Now, Jensen and Jared asked Shoshana how to sign. How are you? She then taught them, I smell like bullcrap instead. I love that. Again, this is more proof that she fit right in, because Jensen and Jared were always pranking each other. So for her to teach them the wrong sign is incredible.
Well, and she gave them names too. Like, I think I don't know what Jensen is. I've seen a video where, because when deaf people like have a friend, like, you don't spell out their name every single time. You create a name for them.
You create, yeah.
And Jensen's has something to do with a squirrel. So I love that.
That's amazing. I love that. Yeah, that's incredible. Come on.
Can we talk about Dean's joke in this that Sam did not laugh at? Like, well, this guy's been stealing all his Viagra, and he said that's a real dick move. And Sam didn't even smile. That was a fantastic joke.
I wonder if it went over his head and they just kept it in there initially, and then he got it after the fact.
No, I think Sam was just being Sam. He can't laugh at the
probably.
jokes. Jared would have laughed at the joke. Sam wouldn't.
Oh, yeah,
that was
without a doubt.
Fantastically, perfectly timed joke. Good job, Dean.
I am kind of sad because I don't think I'm going to San Diego. I do wish I would have been able to swing getting press for Boston, because Sam Winchester is going to be there. And I really want to meet him now.
Do you?
I do, because after watching the way that, Jared Padalecki interacted, and he was so in tune and just paying attention to the person he was talking to. The man's line was endless, but he was happy, he was engaged, and he was awesome. I really feel like that's a really cool moment. Like, he was one of those celebrities that's very involved, and so I would love to just meet him, and then I can settle the debate where we can stand back to back and take a picture together of our heights, and then I can tag Mark Shepard and say, "Oh, I'm not tall. We're the same height, dickhead."
I've heard he might be 6'5".
Oh, now he's gonna. Okay. He's not. You're not tall. He's tall. We're about the same height.
You wear Crocs. He wears boots, so that's probably.
I will wear my boots that day. Then, dang it.
Or your walking boots.
I have work boots. My work boots. That's the only boots you're ever going to see me in. I ain't ever in. I was in cowboy boots once upon a time. All right. There's a picture out there of me in cowboy boots, but yes.
Don't you forget about me. Yes. Episode 12. Don't you forget about me. So Claire, who is a character in the Breakfast Club, calls Dean for some help with a hunt. So they head to Sioux Falls. They head to Jody's and see how well Alex is doing at school with her new boyfriend. But her and Claire are not the bestest of friends. They're kind of button heads. Jody, however, does not think there is a case here. Oh, how wrong she is. She thinks Claire's being crazy and called the boys for no good reason. A home-cooked meal and a sex talk later, we learn that Claire was correct. However, Claire is burying herself in hunting, and Alex's boyfriend is a vampire. It was all revenge on her for what she previously did. It was all revenge on Alex for what she previously did when she was luring men in for vampire food for the family that kidnapped her. Jody, of course, breaks her leg because she always hurts herself and breaks something when she's doing something for the boys.
Yeah.
But everyone does survive. The girls do bond over this, and the boys are sent off with homemade food and smiles. And as long as everyone wears a condom, I think they'll all be just fine.
I absolutely agree. Okay. That I can agree with.
Yes, kids, wrap that rascal.
Listen, you don't want to run around with a couple of other kids out there. All right, as somebody who has kids, who's somebody who had to pay $35 to DoorDash Chick-fil-A to my children today. I had to pay $5 extra tip because I felt bad. The guy called me, he says, "I'm outside. Do I have to go inside?" And I was like, "No, you should be fine." So I called the front desk and they're like, "Well, can you have him drop it off inside?" And then, God dang it, fine. Okay. And so I called him back. I was like, "Can you go inside? I'm adding an extra tip right now. I'm so sorry." So I tipped the guy $13 when the place was a 10-minute drive and it was just a bag of Chick-fil-A. That's a prime example.
Did you even mention that your daughter forgot her lunch?
She forgot her lunch. That's why I had to, and she's 6. Okay. Everyone's like, "Well, she's 6. Okay. These kids, my 6 and 9-year-old know how to do their own laundry, dishes.
Yeah, but now you got to make sure she remembers every day.
Now I got to make sure
that she forgets she gets Chick-fil-A.
Well, to be fair, I forgot this morning because they had swim day. So I was making sure they had all their swim stuff. And so I assumed because they were so in the habit during the school year, she never forgot her lunch, that she wouldn't forget her lunch now. Well, joke's on me. I was ordering Chick-fil-A today. And who got Chick-fil-A? They did. Not me. I ate quinoa, sweet potatoes, and chicken. All right.
That sounds yummy.
It was delicious.
Honestly, I'd rather have that than Chick-fil-A.
I mean, it was delicious. Okay. Don't get me wrong. But I had to spend money on that crap when I could be spending money curing my mental health problems at Disney World or buying Roosevelt's in their Superman attire that drops tomorrow.
That's like half a Roosevelt shirt you spent today.
Dead ass. That I need new running shorts. I was going to buy a pair
of
Roosevelt's running shorts.
Stand. Earn that money back.
They gotta do something. All right.
I guess not Oliver, but Harper.
Yeah. Well, they're Oliver's. Anyways. All right. Fun facts. Are we there at the fun facts? Yes.
We're at the fun facts.
The grumpy cat from Cass can be seen. That was
the grumpy cat. Topical.
The grumpy cat. Like,
remember he got it at the Hot Topical for Claire for her birthday.
Oh.
And so that cat makes an appearance in this. And of course I said the other one, but it was funny. It was when I was going through this today, I was like, "Oh, and her name's Claire," which Claire is the Molly Ringwald. And what is it? Judd Nelson says that's a fat girl's name. Don't think that line aged well.
That's terrible. The title is actually a nod to the breakfast song, "Don't You
Forget About Me."
Classic. All right. Classic. Listen, Jody gets hurt in this episode, of course, because she breaks her leg. Yes. Jody doesn't get enough, man. That poor lady is a ride or die. She took in a vampire. She took in Claire.
She is their mom. Like Ellen and her are the mom.
Yes.
Like Bobby's the dad.
She gets hurt in every episode she appears in, and she still comes back for more for these guys.
I want to see Jody and Ellen meet in heaven because I feel like they would very much so like each other and respect each other.
Oh, without a doubt. I would love, there'd be some cool banter between them. I guarantee you, they'd have cool banter.
They're both don't mess with me moms, but I love you unconditionally.
I love you and I will ride for you no matter what.
But I will middle name your ass if you disrespect me.
For real.
Or do something stupid.
And Claire is stupid. Not for nothing. Claire doesn't realize what she has either, which I get. She's a teenager. She's kind of had a very messed up childhood. And, an
angel promised she'd be okay. Come on.
Her dad turned into it was
next level. And now she has to watch her dad's body.
Her dad's meat suits running around.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Gotta be crazy, man.
Yes. It was just absolutely. But Claire, not for nothing, she's a pretty good hunter. If not for being very inexperienced still, she is a good hunter. And I do love that. And again, dang it, Jody. Gosh, dang it. I do enjoy that they kind of come together at the end though. And it's a happy, like they have a family dinner together, man.
Mhm.
They enjoy family dinner. So
And I believe or I agree with Jody. Like, if you're not comfortable talking about sex, you shouldn't be doing it, kids.
don't do the sex if you don't want to talk the sex. All right, kids. Now
It's a
that leads
grown-up
me in because
responsibility.
if you have sex too soon, love hurts, which is actually the title of episode 13, where a lovely couple get ready for date night. This is when the babysitter shows up, and the babysitter is, wait for it,
No
not
one's gonna see this
legendary,
coming.
but the babysitter is sleeping with the dad. Yes, folks, the babysitter and the dad are
Wow,
doing
that's the
sex.
first time that has happened.
I think I've seen that video before.
Oh,
Now, happy
jeez.
Valentine's Day. When the parents are out, somebody who looks like the husband shows up and kills the babysitter. Don't
Don't
tell
tell
mom the
mom.
babysitter's dead.
That was not on the
Yes.
teleprompter.
The husband shows. Wait, what?
The kids actually watched that this weekend, and when they
Did
said,
they?
"I'm right on top of that rose," they both went, "Oh,
Oh,
that's why you
well,
say
like I
that."
said earlier, I'm pretty sure I share my location is shared with you. We have a joint email, so my DoorDash receipts go to you. Like, not even Carrie knows my location half the time or anytime unless I tell her. So there you go. We're there. Now the husband shows the nanny cam to Dean, which shows a doppelganger killing the babysitter. The plot thickens.
Dun, dun,
While at work,
dun.
the quote unquote dead babysitter shows up to kill the husband. Man,
Didn't
nothing.
see that
If you're
coming.
gonna kill, the
It's called
adult
karma.
server, make sure you finish the job. Now, the boys test the wife, who is not a shifter, but then we see her throw some weird witch stuff down the disposal. Weird.
So we know she ain't
Mm,
innocent.
she ain't all innocent. Her husband, quote unquote husband, shows up to kill her. She goes to the boys, who then help her, and it turns out her hairdresser, yes, her hairdresser is a witch who helps her with a spell, which is basically the kiss of death spell. When the husband shows up again, Dean kisses the wife so as to transfer the spell to himself. And gosh, what a lucky lady.
I
Turns out
know.
whoever is your darkest, deepest desire shows up to kill you. They find the witch and they kill the spell and her, but not before Mara shows up to kill Dean when he was expecting Daisy Duke.
That's kind of
No,
disappointing. I'd
no.
rather Daisy. I mean, I like Amara. I think she's pretty, but I'd rather Daisy Duke show up.
I
Original or Jessica Simpson.
would have honestly almost had preferred what if Helen's daughter showed up.
Joe? Oh, she's too
Yeah.
young for me. She
But
never
I'm
did.
saying like because they always teased it in the beginning of the series. Like that would have been a fun
Yeah,
callback.
I like Joe. I think she was a great character, and I wish they had kept her around longer. But to me, she was more in the realm of Charlie, and like I felt like they were
Mm,
trying to create sexual
I
attention,
see
but I
what you're
felt like she
saying.
was more like a little sister.
I see what you're saying.
But
I get that. I mean, I respect that for sure.
like I genuinely did love Joe's character. I thought she was a great character. She's very knowledgeable. She was like willing to put herself on the line. Like I was upset when we lost Joe and Ellen.
That's fair. I guess I was just kind of thinking due to the fact that I feel instead of Amara or like you thought it was going to be Daisy Duke, it could have been somebody more meaningful would have made more sense, I guess. But
Well, Mara made
Amara makes sense
sense
in
in
the
that
terms of
moment, yeah.
yeah, for sure. That makes
I
sense.
mean, yeah, Darkest Desire, that's not dark. I mean,
I don't really
everybody
think that's
a
like
lot
his
of people are
darkest
attracted to
desire.
Daisy
Yeah.
Duke, yeah. He was
Yeah.
embarrassed at being attracted to Amara because she was the villain that they were after. I think that was
Very which makes sense in terms of the overall story, for sure. I
yeah,
get it.
because he knew the evil that she was doing, and obviously, the more we got to know her, the more we realized she wasn't really evil, but I do like that he told Dean right away. We didn't have that unnecessary drama.
Yeah, true. Now, in fun facts, Dean beats Sam at rock, paper, scissors for the first and only time
Good for
as
you,
of
Dean.
March
Always Dean,
2015.
always with the scissors.
Yes. While he technically won in episode 617, My Heart Will Go On, they were in an alternate reality, making this the only occurrence in this universe. Only Lauren would come up with something like that.
What?
Only you. Fun fact. Only
What?
you would find something like that.
I didn't find it on my own. I
Well,
researched it,
I
but
know you
didn't get
researched,
invited
but
to check it.
still, yeah. I mean, your detective skills, okay?
He
Jeez.
does then later lose. I actually was in a later episode this season, he ends up losing rock, paper, scissors. So I
That's
think
tough.
that might be the only one he wins.
That's tough. Now, the episode bears
So
similarities
proud of
between the
myself.
1981 horror film My Bloody Valentine, in which the victims' hearts are ripped out on Valentine's Day. And would you know it? We covered that movie actually because Jensen Ackles starred in the 2009 remake, which we covered this year. If you want to go take a listen, I would recommend it.
I probably prepped
And
this before that because we
you
haven't
actually probably
recorded
did,
Supernatural
funny
since.
enough.
Yeah.
It's been a while. Dean claims his deepest desire has been Daisy Duke since he was 7 years old from the Dukes of Hazzard. And
That's not a deep,
when
dark desire, Dean.
it's
That's just a
really not.
desire.
Like, come on, it's like your first love. When Sam says so, Bach, not Simpson, he's referring to Catherine Bach, who portrays Daisy in the original series, and to Jessica Simpson, who portrayed Daisy in the film based on the show in 2005. Well, apparently he kind of dated did he date Jessica Simpson?
There's rumors. It's not confirmed.
Oh, I never knew. I honestly, after her
Dear
whole thing with
Leanne
Nick
Rimes.
Lachey, I didn't know. He did?
Yeah. That
Huh.
one I do believe is confirmed.
All
I
right.
think. I'd
How
have
do
to look up.
you, Leanne Rimes, whatever happened to her? Is she still doing country music and stuff? I don't know.
I have no idea. Not that I know
She was
of.
like the biggest country star at that time, too, the early 2000s. Her, the Dixie Chicks. Well, the Dixie Chicks got canceled over George Bush, but
No, they're still around. They're now the
well, they
Chicks.
are
They're not
now.
the
They're
Dixie
the
Chicks.
Chicks, but the Dixie Chicks were huge. But then the country, back when we had our patriotic phase and right after 9/11, the Dixie Chicks spoke out against George Bush, which basically was the first occurrence of getting canceled in the modern age, if you will.
I love them. I have never seen them live, and there's somebody for
God.
Tortuga last year. I added them to my recommended.
Oh,
I
they
added
went?
them. I added Radio Company. I forget who else I added, but I mean, come on, man. They sing
I'd see
Earl Had to
Radio Company just
Die.
to see. Honest to God, I would see Radio Company isn't overall like. I wouldn't go out of my way to listen to Radio Company, but knowing that it's Jensen Ackles, I would absolutely watch that show live. I would love to stand there and have a beer and watch his band play live. I really would.
So I saw a clip, I think today, of him and cast Misha Collins at a convention where he says that some of the songs in Radio Company have double meanings, and the one "Watching Over You" is about Dean and Cass. And I went back and listened to it, and I was like, "Holy shit! I see the parallels." There's even a comment about him climbing out of dirt. I'm like, "Oh, is that after Cass pulled him out of hell?" So yeah, if you're a fan of Radio Company and of the show, go back and listen to that because I closely listen to it. But he says there's double meanings to all the songs. But I just love this music so much. It's just so chill.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like it's bonfire music, I feel like. So that's why I wouldn't be opposed.
It makes me calm. I love the Steve guy too. He's got a great voice.
Yes. I'd catch a Radio Company show if we could ever go. Why not? I'd go.
I get the notifications for Dice. Well, they're supposed to let me know as soon as it happens.
If they go on at any point and there's tickets out there, I will go. I know Tabby would probably go, but I would definitely go just to catch it. Why not see Dean Winchester? Jensen
Dean
Ackles.
Winchester, yes.
Same person, you know. Why don't you
but he can only sing good as Dean Winchester when there's a monster in the basement of the bar.
As we learned, fun facts with our Jeremy Adams episode. Oh my God, guys, we're so popular.
And someone commented on our TikTok, I thought this was a plot hole. I'm glad this is now fixed. So
you're welcome.
I know. Awesome, Jeremy, for letting us know that. That's really cool. Okay. Yes. So
the vessel. Take us to the vessel.
This one kicks off in Nazi-occupied France in 1943. Just a reminder, Nazis are bad. Some people need that reminder today.
Nazis are bad. Nazis are bad.
We kick off with a badass woman seducing and killing a Nazi to steal a hand of God. Kudos to all women who have done that, because this was a real thing people do. Oh my God.
That was like a legit thing. Yeah, there's actresses and stuff back then who played, I forget her name, but she was like this famous actress who basically was a spy for the Allied troops. She went to Germany and they loved her as an actress. So she was basically getting drunk soldiers and things like that and passing information on to Allied troops. That's so bad. And that's just
interviewed somebody who wrote a comic book based on that with a Kitty
Kitty Bordello. Yes, it was Kitty Bordello. Yes, that's right. And that, which is fascinating. Yeah, they were basically running a
brothel.
Brothel to where they were bringing in Nazi troops and they were,
getting
information and given to the Allied. That stuff fascinates me, man. It really does.
But just the strength that you have to
badass women, dude. Badass women.
Like an evil person, knowing how evil they are. But okay. So she's actually with the Men of Letters. So present day, though, the boys still don't know Cass as Lucifer. Sam is doing some Amara research and learns that the Nazis got a hand of God, which were objects God touched on Earth that still hold godlike power. However, the item Delphine, who's that woman, gets never makes it to the States because the submarine actually explodes. So the boys reach out to Cass, who is actually Lucifer unknowingly, for help time traveling. Cassifer gets Dean on the sub. But it's funny because they're like, we don't think you're strong enough. You can't do this. And he's he's rolling his eyes. He's like, of course I can because I'm Lucifer. So Cassifer, so the boys reach out to okay. So Cassifer gets Dean on the sub, but it's warded. So Cassifer gets sent back to present day, all wet and very irritated. Dean finds the woman of letters, aka Delphine, and tells her what's going on. Delphine has the angel warning as actually part of her, which means she has to die for Cassifer to get Dean back. Meanwhile, Lucifer comes clean because Sam is just being annoying, which I could see that happening. Lucifer tries to kill Sam, but this is when Cass fights back. He takes control of his vessel because he's not going to let him kill Sammy. Back in the 40s, they use the Hand of God to fight the German ship, and they all still die, but Dean makes it back with a worn-out Hand of God. So this trip was completely pointless, and he comes back to Cassifer instead of Cass, and Dean blasts Lucifer away. But the look of disappointment when he realizes Lucifer is in Cass is so sad. But at the same time,
like, Cass, why would you do that? But Cass did
he was trying to do good.
He was trying to save everybody.
The look Misha was able to give when he's like, but you also see like he's not acting like Castiel. He has his trench coat off. Like,
yes, there's subtle hints.
Yeah.
And which also, not for nothing, but I feel like that's an underrated aspect of Misha Collins too, is now granted, he gets really campy a lot of times in this show, and it gets kind of like, what is going on?
Oh, especially when he goes crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. There are times though where, him as Cass is fun when he can subtly do things. Yeah. And
talks about bees.
This was a good episode because we get to see like Dean back in time, and I love a good time travel period piece too at the same time. And it's cathartic. And in this episode, the sub that transports Delphine and the artifacts is a Gato class submarine called the USS Bluefin SS-850. While fictional, it is based on a real World War II submarine, the Bluefish. The Gato class USS Bluefish SS-222 was one of the most combat experienced and well-known U.S. submarines during World War II. Laid down on June 5th, 1942, launched on February 21st, 1943, the Bluefish completed 9 patrols of the Pacific between September 9th, 1943 and July 29th, 1945, mainly operating from the Netherlands East Indies to the waters south of Honshu, Japan. And during that time, she engaged 15 Japanese vessels in combat, torpedoed and sank 12 Japanese submarines and warships. During the war, the Bluefish received 10 Battlestar commendations, making one of the most decorated submarines of the Pacific Fleet. That's impressive. If you know nothing about World War II, you know that the Pacific was the bloodiest theater of war. The things that the Japanese were doing, the intense naval battles that went, because you didn't have Navy battles in basically the Eastern Front, which was, Soviet Russia, Germany, the Allies, all them. It was basically like really hard ground campaigns there. Whereas the Pacific, obviously there's a lot of islands. And so it started with the Battle of Midway, where we finally won, and that turned the tide of the Pacific. And they fought in places like Guadalcanal, and just the naval battles that went down because they had kamikazes and all this other stuff going on out there. It's really impressive. Not to discredit the German U-boats, if you will, because the German U-boats were the ones picking off Allied ships until we figured all of that out. But the Japanese, the Pacific was a very scary theater. My great grandfather actually served out there. It's kind of cool. I have his uniform, which is even cooler. But that's why I like all those little subtle nods and things like that we got in this episode.
Yeah, no, and I think that Supernatural does a beautiful job of that, of, creating this whole fictional world, but sprinkling in some actual fun facts and some actual history, and not forgetting the shitty things that are in history.
Yeah, and I love those little tie-ins and things. And then of course we talked about, Cass and his subtle hints and way he's able to go into it. So Beyond the Mat, this is a wrestling episode, which I love wrestling, guys.
This is one of them I tried to use to get you to watch it.
Yes. A very sad wrestling ring, and someone dies mysteriously. Yeah. Dean and Sam decide to go to the funeral as they grew up going to the shows with their dad. Dean and Sam are wrestling fans. We would be bros, all right? It turns out they fall into a case. One of the guys was working for a demon, and it was Dean's favorite. Biscuits. Dean finds out after he bonds with him, and they have a Jaws/Chasing Amy moment of sharing boo-boos. The guy was helping to collect souls, but he wasn't bad. And in the end, he kills the bad demon and accepts his fate. Meanwhile, Cassifer has all of his demons looking for hands of God, and Crowley manages to escape Lucifer, treating him like a puppy. Oh my God.
I did not like seeing Mark Sheppard like that.
It was so uncomfortable.
It was very uncomfortable.
Furries make me uncomfortable. So when I had to watch Mark Sheppard pretend to be a dog, it just made me so uncomfortable. And I'm not kink shaming anybody who might be a furry who listens to this. Do you, boo? It just, I feel weird seeing people act like animals like that. It, for whatever reason,
but you could tell he was uncomfortable, and he was solely doing it to make him feel uncomfortable, to make him feel less than. And so, yes, this was very, very hard to watch.
I will say it is. It was very weird. Now, Cassifer catches up, tells Crowley he invented the double cross. Ha! However, Crowley perfected the double cross and escapes using a hand of God. I do appreciate that Crowley gets the upper hand after being humiliated, because Lucifer legit.
That's a good choice of words. Because remember, they were talking all about it's getting phallic in here.
Yeah. Oh God, they really, yes. But yeah, that's just, it's so uncomfortable, especially because that floor just looks cold and dirty in hell. Like it probably wasn't, right? But
they're not in hell. Crowley hates hell. So remember, his quarters are not in hell. They're
that's right. Hell. You're right. I'm sorry. They're in Crowley's quarters, which
and then
still
Sam even says, "Of course you know that from your summer of romance with Crowley or whatever."
Yes. Says. I just, yeah, it's so weird. So weird. What kind of fun facts do we have?
So Dean uses the alias Agent Roussimoff. Roussimoff is the last name of wrestling legend Andre the Giant. So my name is Inigo Montoya. That's where my head always goes.
Well, Andre the Giant is one of the most famous wrestlers. He was a giant, and everybody remembers the WrestleMania where Hulk Hogan body slams him. That's like the big thing. Which, fuck Hulk Hogan. Excuse my language.
I didn't know that.
But yes, it's a big thing. Big thing.
He saved Princess Buttercup. So Mike, the Miz Mizanin.
I love the Miz. Yes, he is a real pro wrestler. I'm sorry to take that, but he also starred on Real World.
You're all about the wrestling. Go for it.
This is the Miz actually starred on MTV Real World as well. That's where he got his start.
Did he really? Wrestling. Which one?
I forget the one off the top of my head, but he was. If you look up Mike Miz Real World, yes, he was in the Real World on MTV, and then he became a wrestler. And a lot of people in wrestling, there's like this good old boys club. They didn't like him because he came from this reality TV background. However, the Miz has proven himself to be one of the absolute best on the mic and most down company guy. He has so much respect. The Miz is awesome. I freaking love the Miz. And so when he was in this, Carrie and I were pumped because we both know the Miz. She watched Total Divas. She kind of loosely likes wrestling, but and yeah. It's just the Miz, man. The Miz is awesome. So
when they set him up to seem like he was a bad guy, and he wasn't.
That's true. Yeah, exactly. And now when Lucifer tells the demons to search every warehouse, every farmhouse, every hen house, outhouse, and doghouse, he's quoting The Fugitive from 1993, where Sam Gerard. See, this is where you're gonna mess me up, because now I'm gonna start calling Mitch Gerard's Mitch Gerard again. Calls for a hard target search. And now Cassifer, ABC, always be closing. Okay, time out. I like that you put Glenn Ross here, because do you know that Bill Burr is actually one in a play going on Broadway? It's over next week. He's been doing it for the last 16 weeks, where he's been the Glenn Ross Broadway show in New York.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yes. I don't know what Glenn Ross is, but I love Bill Burr, and he has been in that production.
Glenn Ross is a movie starring Alec Baldwin, and it's all about sales. And you got to get the good leads, the Glenn Ross leads, and you always be closing. And that's where always be the cookies. Cookies are for closers. From Boss Baby.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Coffee is for closers from Glenn Ross.
I got you now. Okay, there we go. There she blows, folks. There she blows.
I know. You think Boss Baby, I think Glenn Ross.
There we go. That's fair. Yes. I didn't know. I did not know that. I have an old soul, but you're right.
But you're still born in the 90s, kid.
1990. Okay. It's not like I was in the middle. All right. I was barely past
the early 80s. So.
All right. Well,
I didn't watch that movie till law school, and somebody was like, "Oh, you
see, there you go."
And you haven't, but I did. Law school was 20 years ago. So,
you know what else is 20 years ago?
I don't know. I'm bad
Superman
at
Return. No, it was 19. Never mind. Anyways, why don't you take this last episode of ours for this section before we wrap it up this episode?
Safe House. This is another great one, man. This season was good.
Rufus, man. Yes.
So in this episode, we go back and forth from Rufus and Bobby to Sam and Dean dealing with the same monster. The monster takes a little girl and leaves her in a coma with a handprint on her ankle. The nosy Karen neighbor informed Sam and Dean that they weren't the first FBI agents there. Rufus and Bobby only stopped the attacks with some wall art. They didn't completely stop it. So when the new owners want to redecorate, the monster came back. Dean found the hunt in Bobby's journal. However, it got cut short because the boys called him complaining they needed help. The boys dig up ashes that Bobby and Rufus had burned, so they're kind of hitting dead ends there. Then the mom is taken, and she ends up in a coma with failing vitals as well, and also a handprint on her ankle. They find the first mom from the previous case that Bobby and Rufus worked on, and they told her, because they put a sigil on the wall, just don't touch the wallpaper.
Don't touch it.
The wallpaper.
God, I'm so glad
I would have touched the
wallpaper. I would have too, because just texture is weird for me. So I'm so glad we've moved past the wallpaper phase.
We don't have any wallpaper in our house.
No, God, no.
Back. I think it has a time and a place. But Bobby,
I don't think wallpaper's coming back.
I have seen some people. I'm not putting it up in my house.
I'm not putting it up. Oh my!
But I think there's, you can have like a textured wall, or I don't know. I'm not a decorator. Neither is Bobby. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So the mom says she also remembers a dream where she was in the house, but it was kind of different, and she thought she saw spirits. And then the boys actually go back to that house because now they have an idea of, okay, something happened, don't touch the wallpaper. And they find the symbol that Bobby and Rufus put up, but it is broken from when the new mom was taking the stuff down. So to the books they go. They find out it's a soul eater that exists between worlds.
She's a man eater.
And they create a nest of people. I don't either. I just knew the sounds. They create a nest of people out of town, and they feed on them until they die in real life. Bobby and Rufus think they can't be killed, but they can be trapped. So that's what they do. Sam and Dean learn that they can actually be killed by putting one symbol inside the nest and one outside. So they rock, paper, scissors.
Oh.
Dean loses. Into the nest he goes. The soul eater possesses Dean and past Bobby to a fight. Eventually, they both succeed, and as the bodies leave the nest, Dean and Bobby actually see each other for a second, and all of the people are saved. And it's such a great episode because they go so in sync back and forth between Bobby and Rufus to Sam and Dean in the same steps of an almost exact hunt in the same house.
Yeah.
And remember, kids, Bobby's dead.
I'm still sad that, Bobby and Rufus both went out in that episode too. So to get them kind of back and to do those flashbacks, yeah. I enjoy those, because there's Rufus less so isn't as big a part of a show, but he still kind of is, especially to Bobby and things. And they had a history and they're forever tied together with how they both ended up dying. But, fun facts, these flashback scenes take place during season 4. So Dean had just come back from hell and there are angels everywhere. Now, when Sam introduces himself and Dean as FBI, he calls them Agent Behan and Agent Riser. These are the surnames of actors who played Hicks and Burke in Aliens 1986. You would think me who loves that movie, would be able to pronounce things correctly, but my brain.
Well, these are their real names, though. Remember Paul Reiser, that was also in The Boys.
Oh, yeah. Okay. You're right. Okay.
That's Legend.
Why. Yes. Okay. You're right. I get a pass. Thank you. In the flashbacks, Bobby and Rufus, their FBI names are Riggs and Murtaugh, who are from Lethal Weapon.
Too good for them because Rufus definitely has some of that. I'm getting too old for this shit mentality.
Rufus he's so Danny Glover coded. He really is. Meanwhile, Bobby is not as bad a person.
No, Bobby is in no way, shape, or form Mel Gibson.
Mel Gibson, oh my God.
If anything, you follow him personally, he's like the opposite of Mel Gibson.
Well, Mel Gibson just recently
said
some more stupid stuff, and it's just like, oh my God, go away forever, please.
And Jim Beaver is an awesome dude.
Legit, yes. And yeah, that's why, again, I love, but let's never do wallpaper again. If we can just never go back to wallpaper, and I don't care if it has a time and a place, it has no time and place in my heart. Unless I have to hide sigils and symbols and things like that to protect against demons.
So if I ever see wallpaper at your house, I should just
I'm protected
because there's
Harper's got
no, you're right. Okay.
Harper has an imaginary friend, so I might just start throwing wallpaper up in this room. Actually,
I mean, Zana's are supposed to be nice.
Why do you think I have Legos covering everything? It's actually it's because of that. So I have Legos covering everything because probably behind my Legos are some symbols and sigils and things. Okay, I got to break in case of emergency.
Anti-possession.
See, I have a chalk.
I could never be a weather girl. I don't know how this works. There's my anti-possession.
It's okay. All the weather people got fucking fired. So
who needs to predict weather? It's more
yeah,
fun to
you know what? Weather's
surprised.
gonna show up. If you die, you die. Good luck, everybody.
Yeah,
you know?
we're gonna
people don't need tornado warnings. Means you can see it coming in. I don't know.
Did Dorothy get a tornado warning? Everything worked out fine for her.
You're right. It did. She went on a fun adventure, which I still don't understand. Wicked.
How do you not understand Wicked?
I don't know. I'm gonna have to watch this.
Oh, because you haven't seen the second half.
That's right. I still don't get it, man. Anyway, but we're not here for Wicked. We're not here. We have just finished. Do you have anything for this batch of Supernatural episodes before let's go?
No, I don't think I remembered this season being so phenomenal. It's such a great season.
Season 11 is a good season. Season 11 is good. Season 12 and 13 drag a little bit, in my opinion.
13, we get Tombstone though.
Okay, so, you're right. You're right. Just some good. There's season 12 drags. 13 has bright spots, but in my opinion, season 14 and 15 are really good.
Funny stuff with like Kelly being pregnant and then like, oh God, oh no, he left. Like there's some funny stuff. We get Rowena and Crowley and everybody.
But that's why I never agree with everybody who is essentially like everything after the first 5 seasons is trash, because I don't believe that. Even when we, had to go through the Leviathans, I didn't hate that because it gave us Charlie and stuff. There's
gave us a lot of good dick jokes.
It did. And so I didn't hate any aspects of this kind of stuff. So whenever I have to listen to people bitch and moan about that, it's kind of whack. But that's my opinion. We're going to get to that. We will be back, finishing up season 11 so we can keep moving on, because that's our goal this summer, super summer, to go through, finish Supernatural. We're going to be talking all sorts of superheroes between Superman, Fantastic Four, whatever else. And
we'll cover Jaws for Shark Week.
Oh yeah. That's a winner right there.
Going to Hawaii.
Yes. I wish I could go to Hawaii on a Disney cruise from Vancouver, but everything leads back to Disney.
Supernatural to Jaws 4.
Here I am. So like, subscribe, share, follow. Find us everywhere on social media, hopsgeeknews. Mostly active on Threads. Blue Sky is more like business professional.
Are we active on Threads? I don't even.
I'm very active on Threads. Threads is like where you can interact the best.
I did post my Wolverine review on Threads today.
Blue Sky is where it's more professional, more,
I gave up Blue Sky.
Blue Sky it doesn't hit as well. Like
I tried.
The was there.
I didn't try hard.
Twitter is just a freaking hellscape of doom and gloom, man. So if you really want to hang out, Discord, come get in the conversation, or Threads. Those are the two.
If you want to join our Discord, though, DM us, because you need a current link to get in.
It's weird because it's public, but whatever. DM us. Choose DMs anyways if there's something you want to add that we messed up on, or favorite moments of Supernatural, because we are getting back into it. We are trying to pull back in, if you will. So we will see you guys next time. Next week we have, I'm going to drop this on Friday because I'm off work tomorrow. So I will drop this Friday. We will have Supernatural Friday. So next week we have Superman Returns with Brandon Routh. And then the following week is Henry Cavill. And that's what we got coming down the pipe, folks. Appreciate you. Peace.